What's up, guys? Westbrook, 4-Star Sports Media. You got John Circle in the house as well. Welcome to the show. Welcome to Sports Buffet Monday edition, Mouthful Monday. And we've got a lot to talk about, John. Thanking everybody watching and listening right now, Facebook, YouTube, and X as well. John, let's start with the burning question, man. Who wins it all tonight? Is it A&M or is it Tennessee? Hold on. Don't answer that yet. Hold on. We're just gonna let everybody know the question. We'll answer this question here. So, John, let's go over the poll question. All right. Poll question number 1. Are you ready? How many losses at home does the Memphis football team have over the last 10 seasons? All right. Poll question number 2. Let's just flip over to the Arkansas side. How many home losses does Arkansas have over the last 10 seasons? So you got the burning question of the show, which we'll answer it when we get down to the college baseball portion. Don't worry. It's been an exciting college baseball World Series. But, John, something more exciting is what we get to start the main chorus with, and that's the Stanley Cup. John, when the last time we talked about this, it was 3-0 Florida, and we thought it was over, man. But tonight, one of two things is going to happen. You're either going to have history one of two ways. Either the Florida Panthers are going to win the Cup first time ever, and they get to do it on their home ice, or the Edmonton Oilers will become the first team since 1942 to win the Cup after a 3-0 deficit in the finals. I don't know, man. Like, this is incredible. The last time that a team came back and won a 3-0 deficit was in 1942. There was only 7 teams in the league back then. The rosters were both affected by World War II at the time, and Toronto rallied to defeat Detroit for the title. The idea of there being a Florida Panthers team was just non-existent at that time. I mean, this is crazy, man. The last time we had a Game 7, John, in 2019, you may well remember, is when the St. Louis Blues knocked off the Boston Bruins for their only Stanley Cup title. Do you recall that, John?
Yeah, you do more than I do, but yeah, I recall it.
Oh, yeah. No, man. So, I mean, this has been a very exciting Stanley Cup, up 3-0, now tied 3-3. I mean, does it get bigger than this, John? Game 7, you were up. It's 3-3. You were down 3-0. You came all the way back and tied it. Does it get bigger than this?
No, it doesn't get any better than this at all, because you got a team traveling 2,000 miles down south, down to Florida, once again, and now they're gonna maybe win the Stanley Cup after being down 3-0 and rallied back and tied it 3-3. I'm anxious to see how the ratings are going to be on ESPN or on the ABC networks this week or today, as a matter of fact, going against the Game 3 of the college baseball. I'm anxious to see how the ratings are for that, going against the baseball game. But yeah, it's going to be a interesting matchup. You might see a high-scoring game. You might see a low-scoring game, just because the way that Edmonton has been shooting like crazy on goal lately. Florida is just not capitalizing on the power play at all, and Edmonton is at times. I think that last check when I saw a stat was Florida Panthers were like 19% on the penalties. They're not capitalizing. So it's going to be interesting to see if Florida actually capitalizes on the power play tonight against Edmonton, which I'm going to be honest with you, I think right now all the momentum is going to Edmonton's way, but I would not be surprised if Florida does win this game on home ice, maybe like a 2-1 type ball game or 2-1 hockey game. But deep down, I think Edmonton right now is the better team and better qualified for this game 7. That's one reason I think Edmonton is going to win this game, maybe like a 4-3 type game, but it very well could be a Florida 2-1 victory on home ice because, yeah, you got some days off or whatever, but still, that traveling on your home body and sleeping in your own bed does come in factor in this game, I think.
100%. I mean, in the second round, Edmonton won Game 6 at home, and then they won Game 7 in Vancouver. I mean, they're 5-0 in elimination games this postseason. Game 7's different. We all know that. It's different, but man, you got, I mean, legendary Keith Chuck's son, Matthew Chuck, over on the Oilers side. I mean, who you got, John? I'm really excited about this. Give me Edmonton to win 4 straight and win the Stanley Cup, and that would be the first time since 1990 that a team, it would be their first time since 1990, and the 6th time overall. But at that point in time, they would also become, Edmonton would become the first team since 1993 when Montreal won it. And when that happened, John, Florida wasn't even a team. Florida wasn't a team in 1990 when the last time Edmonton won, but in 93 they won it.
I have Edmonton winning, but I'm just going to go different, and I'll pick Florida because you got Edmonton, I guess. Something different, you know. My heart tells me to go for Edmonton because it's a cool story on how they're doing things and whatnot. But I'll go with Florida just because it's at home. You know, it's tough. It's tough on your body. It's tough on your, everything in general. And power play could be a factor in this game. And maybe Florida's saving the best power play for the best game, I guess. Game 7, where winner takes all for the Stanley Cup. But my heart is going for Edmonton just because it's a cool story to hear on what's going on lately regarding Edmonton.
Yeah, it is. Very true. Very true. All right, man. Let's get into it. We're about to get into two topics in college football, college baseball that I know we're going to talk about in depth. So let's start with a football conference, one of my personal favorites. And that's the Sun Belt, Fun Belt. Everyone loves the Fun Belt on Tuesday night. There's nothing better than getting home, stretching out, 6 p.m., and you look up and it's Louisiana Monroe versus Appalachian State. Nothing better. And it's 120 degrees in Monroe, Louisiana, because it's always hot in Monroe.
Yeah.
Trust me, I know. So John, man, let's talk a little bit about this conference. So you've got very, very interesting storyline. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over the conference kind of as a whole briefly, and then we'll talk about 2 teams that we need to watch, keep an eye out for, 2 teams that we think will disappoint us, and then we'll go over a couple of storylines within the conference. All right?
All right.
All right, so the Sun Belt is comprised of 2 conferences, East and West. You got 7 teams each in each conference. When you look at the East, you've got App State, Marshall, Georgia Southern, James Madison, Coastal Carolina, Old Dominion, and Georgia State. In the West, you've got Texas State, Louisiana, Arkansas State, Troy, South Alabama, Southern Miss, and Louisiana Monroe. So, John, I'll start with you, man. Give me two teams to watch this season in the Sun Belt.
So we're doing like two in the East and two in the West, or we're just doing like one in the East and one in the West?
Just two teams to watch. They can both be from the East. They can both be from the West. It's separate. It doesn't matter.
All right, I'll do one from the East and I'll do one from the West. From the East, a team to look out for, I'm going to go with it's going to be an interesting team to watch, maybe just because they're playing a decent non-conference schedule to start out the season. And I'll go with, not from the obvious, Appalachian State or Coastal Carolina. I'm going to go with a team in Clay Helton and the Georgia Southern Eagles. Could Clay Helton maybe have a team in Georgia Southern, maybe break that 7 or 6 win game mark? And it all starts on week 1 when they host Boise State Broncos and maybe spoil Boise State's Power 5 playoff bid right off the bat. But I'm not saying they're going to win that game or anything per se, but traveling from Boise to Georgia in 2 different time zones, and you don't know what kind of body that you're going to have for Boise State. It showed when Boise State came to Memphis, obviously you know that. But Georgia Southern maybe a team to watch out for other than the obvious Coastal Carolina and Appalachian State, in my opinion. Just because Clay Helton is under year 3 now at Georgia Southern. And I think the passing attack for Georgia Southern might be back this year. And yeah, they're not a running team like they used to be, but they can definitely still throw the football and still run the ball. But Georgia Southern is going to be a team that could be surprising some people and get over that 7-win mark, just because. But the interesting game also is when they play at Ole Miss this year as well, because I think the Clay Helton Lane Kiffin matchup is a lot of people not talking about that non-conference matchup at all, really per se. But just looking at, they got some games at home that are going to be standing out for Georgia Southern where they can basically win a game. They have Marshall at home and they got James Madison at home, so that always a good thing. And they also got Troy at home and App State at home. So if you can go at least 2-2 in that 4-game stretch, where you got all those games at home, and then just surprise somebody on the road and compete in your non-conference schedule, Georgia Southern is a team out in the East I'll look out for. And then you said another surprise, right? So another one I'll go with probably in the West, a team that maybe was not really, it's hard to say because they got a lot of transfers coming in this year as well. And I'll go with Texas State. That might surprise some people just because they got Lincoln Pear back, the running back who tore his ACL last year. And I really think Texas State could make some noise in the West this year because they got a decent quarterback that came in from the portal, and they got a non-conference schedule also where they can maybe surprise some people because they're both at home. You got a UTSA team at home, and then you got an Arizona State team at home, where that game could really go either way because, Texas State is always a tough place to play at, for one. But I also think Texas State can maybe surprise some people by getting over those 6 to 7 win mark as well. But they do have some tough games at home in the conference as well, but they're all at home. They got, Sam Houston team at home. They got Arkansas State at home. They get the Raging Cajuns at home. Southern Miss at home. And then they go on the road and play at ULM and at Old Dominion at Troy. But if you can go 2-1 in those 3 road games, then I think Texas State could have at least 8 to 9 wins this year and surprise some people in the Sun Belt.
Okay. I'm going to give you my 2. First off, I'll go with Arkansas State. Butch Jones, 6-7 last year, 4th year under Butch Jones. I really think this team can take another step forward. If you look at the Butch Jones era for the Red Wolves, each year has honestly been growth under Butch Jones. You go 2-10, you go 3-6, and last year you go 6-7. So, you look at the jump, 3-year win increase. If you're an Arkansas State fan, I don't know that you really asked for 3-win increase again, but when you look at the schedule, you start off with Central Arkansas at home, then you got Tulsa at home, then you go on the road to the Big House in Michigan. You know, man. Then you go on the road at Iowa State. Then you got a bye week, which is a massive bye week. And then you play South Alabama.
Right.
But I will say this, John. For Arkansas State to be an underdog in 14 consecutive Sun Belt games, I think they snapped that streak this season. I really do. You play South Alabama at home, you go to Texas State, then you go down to Hattiesburg, you host Troy, you go to Louisiana, you go to Georgia State, we just talked about, then you host a Louisiana Monroe team that I'm going to talk about here in just a minute. And then you host what I think is another sleeper team in Old Dominion, honestly, to close the season out. But Centennial Bank Stadium's a fun little stadium to go to. And I think Butch is going to continue to get these guys going in the right direction. And I think you see Arkansas State win 7-8 games this year. And I mean, when I say a team to watch, I'm saying they can finish second, third in the conference. I'm not saying Arkansas State's going to win the whole thing. It's not what I'm just saying a team to look out as a team that, with some help, they may could win a 9-game. A 9-game season in Arkansas, in zone for Arkansas is big. We know that. The other one, John, is very interesting, and that's James Madison. Now, if you look at their record last year, yes, they went 11-2. They lose their head coach. They're one of 5 teams in this conference to be starting a new era with head coach. You got James Madison, who's got Bob Sedgwick. You got Georgia State, who's got Dale McGee. You got Troy, who's got Gerald Parker. South Alabama's got Major Applewhite. And then Louisiana Monroe, who's got Brian Nichols. So you're looking at 5 teams, 5 fresh, brand new coaches. That's a storyline that I'm really watching in this conference this year because I'm very key. I'm going to key in on all 5 of these guys to see how they do in year one, especially coming off season packed. But no, James Madison, man, it's a team I'm really looking out for. It's fun to watch. They start out with Charlotte. Tough game to start. They're going to host Gardner Webb. They got a bye week. They go to Chapel Hill, take on North Carolina. That is a game now that I will tell you right now on June 24th. We will be picking that game that week. And I can depending on how James Madison looks, I could almost tell you I might pick North Carolina to be on upset alert. And I'm giving you that big. Almost 3 months to the day. That game is on September 21st. Then they go to ULM. Then they got road, home, coastal, tough coastal team. Tough coastal team. They end the season at App State. At Old Dominion, at App State, and then they host Marshall to close the season out. But James Madison is another team that I'm definitely looking at. John, give me your disappointment, and I bet you're going to take one of mine. Go ahead.
Yeah, my disappointment. I don't know what to think of it, to be honest with you, because they started so well last year, and then they competed in their scheduling like crazy last year, and then I don't know what happened to them. But disappointment team, man, they finished the year last year 6-7, 3-5 in the league. Marshall.
Yeah,
I thought Coach Huff in the game would be. I thought Coach Huff, to be honest with you, would have been one of the greatest hires in the offseason for this Marshall football team. But because of his pedigree, Nick Saban, 6-7 last year, 3-5 in the league last year, and just the way you gave up point after point last year, and your defense lost the game 48-41, 41-24, 20-9, 34-6 last year, and 31-9, and 28-0. to a South Alabama team that was basically winnable last year in Mobile. And you got shut out down in Mobile, and then just the way that you ended your bowl game and losing to UTSA, although UTSA is good as anybody in the American, but they lost 35-17. But Marshall is going to be my one disappointment this year because I really thought Coach Up in the game would basically surprise some people last year, and they really didn't off the record. But this year you got at Tech, then you got a bye week, and then you got at Ohio State. But man, you got to win your games at home, and you got to play your defensive mind guy as a head coach. So you definitely think Marshall in general can maybe surprise some people. But man, Western Michigan is no sleepover also for the MAC going into Marshall this year. So yeah, Marshall could very well disappoint some people once again this year by finishing a 6-6 record when you need a Marshall team really to win 8 games in the Sun Belt.
Yeah, I mean, I got to go with mine's got to be Louisiana Monroe. I mean, I don't think even the new booty on campus is going to help. And when I say new booty, I'm talking about General Booty, who's the old Oklahoma quarterback. I'm not meaning that in any derogatory way. I'm literally talking about a guy flashing booty. But you got brand new head coach Brian Vincent, as I mentioned earlier. But Don, the issue here is he's a good hire. He's part of the UAB transformation. Very, very good coach, very skilled coach. Brought in some good assistants as well. But, you know, I don't know. I mean, Vincent took over as he took over for Phil Clark when he was brought in some good coaches, but you only have 7 returning starters on this football team. That was already one of the worst football teams in the nation. They finished 2-10 last year. I don't know, man. Like I'm starting to really question. I understand why Louisiana Monroe moved up, right? Because Lafayette moved up, right? Lafayette couldn't move without them moving, right? That's a competition thing. I get it. But, I mean, I'm really starting to question when is this program going to get some backing? I mean, is it backing? I mean, I would be really interested to talk to somebody who's very, very familiarized with the University of Michigan. Matter of fact, I'm going to start with someone because that state is hot. Monroe, Louisiana alone has football talent in it that you should be able to get kids to come stay in their backyard. The little stadium there in Monroe, Louisiana is not a bad stadium. It is hot. There is the old school bleachers that just, they're so hot. But they got good food. They got Johnny's Pizza, which is amazing. I mean, they got some little fruit drink. Like, they got numerous stuff you can get there. The food, like I said, the food's amazing. And the experience is pretty cool. They got a nice there's a decent little fan base that, Nick's little fan base. I just don't understand why that team doesn't have more success than they have. I mean, John, just to give you an example, in the last 10 years, John, ULM is, I believe, they are 35-64 in the last 10 years. How does that get picked?
Good question. I don't have answers to because you just brought it up, man. The last couple of years have been awful, man. It's just some people were predicting ULM to go 0-12 this year. To be honest with you, and they're being honest, man. Like it ain't the same ULM team that had quarterback play years ago, whatnot. It's just their offense has not been the same since like the '90s. It seems, I guess, but yeah, man, it's just a long haul this year with ULM, and I really think this team. I thought to open the year maybe could win 3 games, but right now I don't see it. I can see where people are saying 0-12 just because I guess 1AA teams really never know what they expect from them on week 1 going to a Division 1 team stadium and whatnot because ULM opens up with Jackson State.
That's what I
But
was
it's just hard to say, man. Like,
if they go 0-12, they're losing their home opener to Jackson State. No offense to anyone associated with Jackson State. I don't mean to be negative way. But if you're Louisiana Monroe, even as bad as this program has been historically, you still should not lose to Jackson State. I mean, am I right?
Especially the way that Jackson State, Deion Sanders is not there anymore. Nothing against their coaching staff. But this is a team in Jackson State that a Monroe team should be able to beat by at least by 20 points. And I also think, in the long haul also, you got UAB that goes to Monroe, and then you play at bye week, and then you play at Texas, at Troy, home for James Madison, home for Southern Miss, bye week again, at South Alabama, at Marshall, home for Texas State, and then at Auburn, and then at Arkansas State, home for Louisiana. But your non-conference schedule in general is just it's money toward the football program when you've got Texas and Auburn on that schedule.
Yeah, 100%. All right, man. Let's jump over to the next conference, and that is the Big 12. We'll start with the story, because I think, obviously you have to start with that, right? Texas and Oklahoma league. But then the Big 12, who just had new teams come in last season, has more coming in. Again, so you had in Utah, Arizona, Colorado, Big 12. So, first, we'll start there. What do you think about the new addition to the Big 12?
As we're talking about football, I like it for basketball, first of all. Let me just say that. But for football, I like it because you got more recruiting rankings that are national in the top 50 and some teams that you probably don't see in the national rankings year in, year out. Like this year, example, we got Arizona State. Dillingham is getting his players in now. You got 19 players that signed last year, and Dillingham's going to be turning Arizona State around. It's just going to be a matter of time. But I like the new additions with Arizona State, Arizona. Colorado's been there, of course, but from a traveling perspective, it's definitely going to be interesting because you still have like you traveling to Florida, for example. You still got teams.
Yeah, I mean,
So that's some interesting storylines on that, especially from a recruiting perspective.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The recruiting opens up quite quickly, actually. Let me ask you this, John. When you look, you've got to ask the question. Everybody's going to talk about it. So we'll go ahead and get it out of the way. It's not the most popular topic of my life. So how do you think Deion Sanders does?
What did he do? Finish 5-7 last year, I believe.
4-8.
Okay, so he did finish 4-8 after all. But man, to be honest with you, God, man, like you still see players that are entering the portal off of him already halfway through spring football. I don't know what's really going on in that program, but it's definitely not looking good for this Colorado football team because you got players leaving the program after some players at first went in just for Dion per se, but they finished 4-8 last year. Man, this year's going to be even a little bit more rockier for them. But I don't know, man. Just if Colorado don't, I know they want to give Dion time, but if you don't win 5 or 6 games this year, your seat is going to be a lot more hotter going into next season in that 2025 football season in Colorado.
Oh, yeah. So let's start with some teams to watch. I've got 2 teams to watch, 2 teams that I think will disappoint. First off, my teams to watch, I think it's Kansas State. They finished last year with 4 wins, 7 games, won the Pop Tart Bowl. Avery Johnson is back, and Avery Johnson's there. Stout defense as well. I think this team is a dangerous team to possibly win the conference. And then Kansas, to me, is a team to watch. Jalon Daniels, Jalon Daniels back. Now, here's the interesting thing, John, and I'm sure you're aware of this. They played 4 home games at Arrowhead Stadium, one of which is against Colorado. They played 2 games in Soccer Stadium. Did you know that?
Yeah, I did. Against Lindenwood and UNLV.
Yep. Did you know that Lance Leipold was 17-21 at Kansas, and the program had only won 16 games in the previous 9 years prior to his arrival? That right there is why I think this team is dangerous. I think this team can possibly, if the quarterback stays healthy, defense continues to excel, plus other players step up. I think, my opinion, but this is based on stats, I think this team can possibly have the potential to win 11 games. 11 wins. When is the last time we talked about Kansas with 11 wins? Mark Mangino Day with, what was his name? Meyer as quarterback. It's been a long time.
Wow, 11 games?
I do. I'm serious. I said just a few years ago that Kansas would win a bowl game. People laughed. People called me an idiot. It wasn't a hot take. It was based on stats. And then not only did they make the bowl game, they won the bowl. I'm telling you, this team has the potential, quarterback stays healthy, to win 11 football games this season. I'm telling you, I see it. Now, when you look at the when you look at the disappointing side, I think it's pretty simple. It's pretty easy. I think Houston is one of them. They went 4-8 last year. They got rid of what was his name? Oh, Hairpiece Holman. And
Holgerson,
then Holgerson, Hairpiece Holman. Yeah, they bring in Willie Fritz, which is lame. Let's be honest, he doesn't have Michael Pratt in Houston. What he does have, of course, former Texas Tech quarterback and last year's starter, Donovan Smith. He had 8 starts last year, threw a little over 2,000 yards, 4 passing. But he was out for the last 5 games with injury. When you look at Houston, their schedule on the road is brutal at Oklahoma, Cincinnati. This is the on-the-way game. On the road. At Oklahoma, at Cincinnati, at TCU, at Kansas, at Arizona. Close out tough road game late in the year at BYU. That is brutal. And then they host UNLV, Rice, Iowa State, Utah, K-State, and Baylor. I don't think it gets any better for Houston in 2024. I think they can very well drop it. I think they could almost even possibly finish 3-9 with that schedule, plus what they've got. Fritz is a good coach. Don't get me wrong. I think Fritz gets them back third place, probably second place, maybe playing for a conference title next 3 years, 5 years. I also don't know that Louis Chris Mason coaching another 5 years. I think he very well be out. I could be wrong. And then, John, my last disappointment. I'm sorry if I'm taking it from you, but it's Colorado. 4-8 last year. 2022, this team was 1-11. The previous 17 seasons, this team only made 3 bowl games. There was a gap from 2007 to 2016. The most recent bowl was 2020. In 2023, they entered 2023 5-21 the last 26 games. They did start 3-0 in 2024, but they finished 1-6 in the final 7 games. They host North Dakota State, and that's no sleeper game. And I am really curious to see if ESPN, Fox, ESPN Telemundo, ESPN 8, ESPN Ocho, 2, ESPN X, ESPN Plus, if they're all there for that game. Because if North Dakota State beats them at home, it's going to create a hellstorm of red flags and question marks for this program. I don't think it gets any better in 2024. I don't think this team wins 4 games. You can laugh. They may win 4 games. I think their high ceiling for this year is 6 wins. That's it. Their low ceiling for this year is 3. I don't think it gets any better. Yes, they've got Shedeur Sanders. I understand he's extremely talented. They host North Dakota State. They got Baylor at homecoming. Good luck with that. K-State comes after a bye. Cincinnati, Utah, they close with Oklahoma State. They go to Nebraska, not easy. Back-to-back road games with Nebraska and Colorado in week 2 and 3. That's not an easy schedule. Then you got at UCF. The bounce house is going to be lit. You got at Arizona. Don't go there at night. That's not an easy place to play. Texas Tech, we know what kind of stuff happens in Lubbock. And then Kansas at Arrowhead. And I just talked about them. I don't, based on these things, plus just his roster is just so out of whack. There's so much coming and going, and I don't think he knows who's who. I know he doesn't know who's who. He didn't even know who the center was in the football game. I'm not taking shots at anyone. I'm being serious. Like, these are things that are factual going on. 4-8 last year. You returned 6 starters on defense, 6 starters on offense. I just don't see it, man. I'm sorry. I just don't see it. I see this team winning. Go ahead.
Well, we know that one thing is that Colorado-Kansas game is going to be a sellout in Arrowhead just because of rivalry. That's the only.
I agree completely.
Yeah.
I just don't. I don't know, man. Like, I mean, it's going to suck if they lose their first ever meeting against North Dakota State. It's going to suck.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, man, you do got a point on Colorado. Like I told you, I think the goal this year, I think if you're Dion, either win 5 or 6 games is key, because next year is going to be the key where Colorado fans are going to be asking you to win those 8 to 9 games, per se as well. And I really think this is the year you got to win 6 games, although it's going to be a struggle. But, yeah, my surprise, although I did say that Utah might surprise some people a couple weeks ago in getting that playoff. But I'm going to go with a surprise team in UCF, Central Florida. A lot of people are saying Gus Malzahn might be old school still, and whatnot. But, heck, Gus Malzahn is still doing stuff in the portal these days and getting players to go to UCF. As you know, KJ Jefferson now is at UCF. And You don't see kids like Javaris Johnson from Auburn go to UCF. You don't see Aji Hall from Texas go to UCF, but you got too many players named that have made an impact already at UCF. But the good thing about UCF, most of their games that they have are at home that are going to be winnable. Like you open up with New Hampshire at home, Sam Houston at home, at TCU at night is a tough place to play at on a Saturday night. But your home games are Colorado at home. You just brought up this is the bounce house will be jumping for the first true test for Dion going into the bounce house, and heck, you play at Florida non-conference, and Billy Napier's schedule does not make it any easier for him. And where you can see a UCF team go into Florida and maybe surprise a Florida Gator team and beat a Florida team and at Florida, because Billy Napier's job is on the line in that game, to be honest with you. I really think his job will be on the line in that game. But yeah, home for Cincinnati at Iowa State. Hey, it's always tough in Iowa, but it's a winnable game. BYU at home, Arizona at home, at Arizona State, and then at West Virginia. So, and then at home for Utah. So you really don't have to worry about traveling to the West Coast at all if you're UCF. And I think Gus Malzahn and the gang could probably win at least 8 to 9 games this year under that new Big 12 format, where all your games are at home and could surprise some people. So look out for UCF to win 8 or 9 games under this year, under what a lot of people thought was a disappointment last year for UCF, just because the way that you not in the ball games properly per se, and lost a heartbreaker at Boise, whatnot as well. And so that's my surprise. My disappointment will probably be Baylor, I guess, still. Although I think Baylor, Coach Aranda, his seat was so much hotter last year as well. And this year does not get any easier for the Baylor Bears, because, the first 3 games or first 4 games, if you don't go 3-1 in that first 4 games, you're basically on the hot seat again. I think because everybody expects so well of you coming from LSU, whatnot, because your first 4 games is Charleston State at home, at Utah, home for Air Force, where you never know what an Air Force team will come into your place and beat you, but for that smash mouth football, at Colorado are your first 4 games. So you definitely need to go 3-1 those first 4 games, and then home for BYU, at Iowa State, at Texas Tech, home for Oklahoma State, home for TCU, at West Virginia, at Houston, and then home for Kansas. But man, Baylor needs to win 8 games this year to have a good showing for Coach Aranda before they ask him to lead the Baylor football team. So I could very well see this could be very well another disappointing year for the Baylor Bears.
Yeah, no, I agree with it. All right, let's jump over to the last topic, and that is college baseball. We'll start with Austin, Texas. We've got some news that a new head coach will be taking place at the University of Texas after 8 seasons, nearly 300 wins. The head coach of the University of Texas, David Pierce, has come to an end. The run of David Pierce has come to an end. Athletic director Chris Del Patrick said, quote, after the season, Coach Pierce and I had some time to visit about the year, the future of the program, where we are, and where we're headed. It was a difficult decision for us both, but we have mutually agreed that we should make a change. End quote. Pierce was 297 and 162 after taking the program over in 2017 from legendary Augie Guido. Pierce was hired after guiding Tulane baseball for 76 and 46 marks for seasons. In 13 years as a D1 head coach, Pierce's record is 494, 271. He was the 13th head coach in program history, and they knocked 4 40-win seasons under Pierce, including a 50-win campaign in 2021. It ended in what we're going to talk about, the Men's College World Series, and it did in the semifinals And then when they eventually lost to eventual Mississippi State national champion. Texas does return a solid core of players, including Big 12 Player of the Year, 13 All-American Max LU, second team All-American shortstop Jalen Flores, and utility player Jared Thomas, among others, as well as we talked about it. Texas now going to the SEC. So, John, real quick on Texas baseball, who's off the top of your head you see possibly take that job?
To be honest with you, I have not done no research on this at all because it all came to a shock like around 12 o'clock this afternoon to everybody, especially to me because I thought Texas had a good year, to be honest with you. 36-24, 20-10 in that conference. Yeah, you lost 2 games in the season to a team in A&M and to a team in Louisiana, but still, this is a team that has competed in the regionals year in, year out. And to say you wanted, well, there was some talk after the season got over that he was on the hot seat. But I don't know, man. Like 36-24, 20-10. Good luck finding a coach that maybe can match that same 20-win season in the conference next year going to the SEC, I guess. But yeah, man, like I'm shocked per se that they did fire him. Although a lot of people were talking about it after the season got over for Texas. But man, to see a coach go after the winning record that he had for one thing, and finishing the year 36-24 and 20-10 in the conference in to me, a good Big 12 conference for baseball per se. But yeah, just a little bit of a shock to me hearing this about this 3 hours ago now, and it's gonna be interesting on who they hire because they got a lot of shoes to fill in general, and by going to the SEC next year in general.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. All right, man. Let's go ahead and dive into first or third, whatever, into the final game. Let's dive into final game, third game. Texas A&M, Tennessee is tonight. Both programs have waited 73 years to win a men's college World Series championship, right? What a game. Game 1 was, then we saw game 2. And it all comes down to tonight. What happened, Don? Does Tennessee break the curse?
All I know is SEC at its best regarding baseball this postseason. A&M's pitchers in Game 1 definitely showed how low their ERA is, I guess. And they showed Tennessee's bats what they made of in that first game. And to be honest with you, 17 strikeouts for Tennessee baseball in Game 1. When was the last time you saw a Tennessee baseball team strike out 17 times in Game 1? Probably, 2 years ago maybe? Or 3 years ago or whatever? But, man, and then the runners on base also for Tennessee in that Game 1 were like, what are we doing at times? Like, just being stupid at Game 1. And then Game 2 yesterday, 1-0, going to like the 6th or 7th inning it was, and then Tennessee bat finally woke up and hit 2 home runs with 2 outs in back-to-back innings. And Game 3 is going to be definitely interesting today when it's going to be torching hot. Right now it's 98 degrees at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So I'm sure Tennessee glad they got the black jerseys out of the way in Game 2, so they don't have to worry about, the heat in Game 3 and those black jerseys. But yeah, man, like, who would have thought 25,000 fans in Omaha, Nebraska, traveling all over cross country, whether you're traveling from Memphis to Knoxville to College Station up there to wherever you're traveling from, just enjoy this environment for Game 3 is like amazing. Just to watch it on TV tonight, and it's gonna be interesting on who wins this game because I think both teams are doing a great job by doing their pitching as well. The first two ball games, as well by saving their arms, at times as well. Because think about it, you see where A&M, to be honest with you, has used a pitcher like 20 pitches and then he takes them out. Tennessee's done the same thing all playoff run, and they're saving their arms for this exciting Game 3, and it's going to be exciting to watch. But yeah, the high today in Omaha was going to be 104, the high. And it's not even 8 o'clock yet, and the sun doesn't set till 8 o'clock. So definitely going to be an interesting Game 3 per se. What's your thoughts on it?
Man, I mean, I think a lot of things changed in Game 2. So Tennessee was 0 for 16. And let me get the stats back up. I just had first down. Tennessee was 0 for 16 with runners on base and 0 for 7 with runners in scoring position coming into Game 2 of this series. Of course, we know that changed Game 2 when the two-run home run by Dylan Dreeland hit by Tennessee. That was also the first time that A&M, which had been undefeated in the NCAA tournament, had trailed a game in this year's Men's College World Series, and it obviously would never gain the lead. And I think that moment right there, 372 foot home run, changed everything. It woke Tennessee's backs up. It woke this Tennessee team up. Vitello would say in an article that after Game 2, he had evidently lost one of his AirPods, so he was trying to sleep, and he had some white noise going, some music going. So he said it was a little tough to sleep because he could hear the party outside the hotel from the fans. So, man, I mean, tonight's going to be fun. Obviously, if you're any type of SEC fan, you're very excited. But, I mean, if you're a baseball fan, especially college baseball, you should be excited. I know there's a lot of people that just specifically hate Tennessee that are going to watch the game just to see if Tennessee lose. Personally, I mean, I picked Tennessee when this whole thing started. I picked Tennessee to break the curse and win it all. So, I guess if de facto by my pick, I guess I'm going for Tennessee. It's going to be a lot of fun. There's a lot of things on the line here. Two teams that never won a national championship. Potential first time the number one seed won it since 1999 in Miami. There's a lot going on, man. I think Tennessee wins. I really do. I think Tennessee gets beat.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Game 3, Tennessee to win it all as well, because I had Tennessee from the beginning. I also had A&M, I believe, in that final, just because A&M's pitching and then batting. And then Texas A&M's batting average really hasn't been good all year, per se. But it's definitely showed up when it has mattered most. But, yeah, I think it's going to be an exciting Game 3 where maybe you could see a lot of runs scored, but it also could see like a low-scoring game because Tennessee and A&M done their pitching assignments pretty well, all postseason long pretty well. But yeah, I think Tennessee wins this Game 3, and the first number one seed, like you brought up, since 1999 when Miami did it. And also want to say this: can the media and fans just let Drew Beam and his girlfriend enjoy the moment? One, it's a cool storyline. Two, yeah, there's bragging rights on the line as well. But man, I'm tired of people talking about it per se. But I'm also like tired of people like has his own fan base bashing their own player's girlfriend on social media the way she is because her dad is the director of baseball operations at A&M, and one, she's a student there. And then on top of that, her brother's the bullpen coach. Come on, people, just give this family, both families, a break and quit criticizing her because she goes to A&M, for God's sakes. Let both people enjoy the moment. That's what I'm like. That's my soap talk on that.
No, man, I couldn't agree more. I think that the entire nation of sports fans needs an eye-opening experience. Because people nowadays, man, I mean, just to add another scoop on what you were talking about, because I got dessert time up here. Man, it needs to happen. The trashing of people, the digging into the personal lives of other people. That girl's father, the person that without him she's not here, works for that team. Why would she not be supported? She also, like you said, goes to school. Why would she not be supportive of that university? Because fans are stupid and they think that just because their boyfriend plays in the University of Tennessee, that all her allegiances should go towards her boyfriend. Well, that's stupid even if that's not even real at all. No, man, 100% right. 1,000. It's wrong. It's trashy. It's crappy. It needs to stop. It won't stop, but it needs to stop. And here's the thing. Kudos for her, because guess what? No matter how this game ends, her and her family are probably still going to be happy. Because if Texas A&M wins, they're going to be happy. Her boyfriend's going to be happy for her and her family. If Tennessee wins, she's still going to be happy for him, and her family is still going to be one too. So either way, everybody wins in that one little situation. And in reality, the only people that matter in the situation, which is him, her, and the families, not the fans, everybody in that little situation is going to be happy. So that makes it all the better. Did I make somebody mad with that text? I don't know. Do I care? Nope. Okay. I mean, it's just fact. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, man, it's terrible. It's terrible. All right, John. So what do we got going on? By the way, next Monday, just give a little preview of next week. Next Monday, we'll be talking about the ACC and CUSA. To talk about those two conferences on next Monday's show. John, Wednesday, what do we got coming up?
Oh, I know. As of right now, it could be an Edmonton winner or could be a Florida Panther winner, and we'll dig in a little bit more on that. And then I also think it's time to talk about some recruiting because a lot of people are committing for the 2025 class, week in, week out, or day in, day out right now. And it's an exciting time for college football fans as we're going to dig into a little bit of the University of Memphis recruiting per se, because right now, as much as I do, they're off to a hot start and already got recruiting number 11 under their belt. And it's an interesting time in the University of Memphis if you're a University of Memphis fan. And also, whatever that can come, I guess maybe a little bit of golf, maybe, because it came down to another playoff hole yesterday in the PGA, as well as Scotty won another one. And then let me just say this also for golf fans also. Some people want to hate the live golf right now, and some people do like it because it's golf. But kudos to the city. But kudos to the city of Nashville for doing a great job this past weekend for the live golf, and just showing out the way they did as well for Bryson DeChambeau, John Rahm, and the whole gang on live golf. But yeah, I guess we can talk a little bit of golf on Wednesday as well, just a little bit more in depth on what we think on golf.
Yeah, we're definitely going to talk golf on Wednesday. We'll talk a little bit of live, talk a little PGA as well, and then Friday we will get into Friday's a little more laid back. We'll talk a little bit of professional wrestling on Friday. Talk a little AEW, talk a little WWE. I may reach out to some connections to see if I can get us a guest on and talk a little bit of wrestling too, to give us a little personal insight into the business. Yeah, Friday's going to be a lot of fun, guys. By the way, don't forget, man. We got to give the answer. All right. So, question number one is, how many home losses does Memphis football have over the last 10 years? That answer is 12. That answer is 12. 2014, 2015, 2017, and 2018, Tigers lost one game at home. 2016, 2021, 2022, 2023, they lost 2 at home. And 2019 and 2020, they did not lose any at home. That equals 12 wins. I'm sorry, 12 losses. All right, last one. Over the last 10 years, how many home losses does the Arkansas Razorback football program have? That answer, my friends, is, are you ready for it, John?
30.
You're close. 31. Damn, you're close.
Ooh.
In 2021, they lost 1 game. In 2014, 2016, they lost 2. In 2015, 2022, 2023, they lost 3. 2017, they lost 4. 2018, 2019, they lost 5. And the stat of the day, John, is over the last 10 years, Arkansas football has a 22-60 record in SEC play and an overall record of 53-70. So be prepared. We'll give more polls. We'll give more stats tomorrow as well. And we're going to have a stat of the day every day as well. Tomorrow is Tuesday, so it's also Trivia Tuesday. We'll have some trivia questions out there too, which is kind of like our poll questions. They kind of go hand in hand. But Wednesday will be What's the Score Wednesday, so we'll get some sports scores out there for you. Thursday will be Talk to Us Thursday. You tell us what you think sports will be. And then Friday, like I said, Friday's Feisty Friday. Feisty Friday. And we'll get on there and have a little fun talk with the rest of more. But thank you to everybody watching and listening today over on Facebook, YouTube, and X. At 4-Star Sports M is the name. And for John Sturtevant, I am the truth. Thank you for listening and watching, and as always, stay classy, folks.